Right. Hi, and welcome back to The Inside of My Head, where I've been reading the Gvk Novelisation. And even though I'm probably only about a third of the way through it, I've been surprised as to how many gaps this fills in. Wondered why Ren Suizawa suddenly ends up the bad guy? Well, this tells you. How about how Gia survived the storm? Yep, that's in here too. But as well as filling in the gaps, it also gives you a couple of really spicy nuggets on the side. Nuggets. Regarding the history of this universe. So if you want all that extra Monsterverse gravy, get subscribed, as there will definitely be at least one more vid on the novelization, if not two.
Mr. Normal Person, he's completely normal.
So, the Gvk novel opens with a scene featured in Godzilla Dominion, where Godzilla frees Titanus Nar-Kika from humans trying to capture it. And whereas Dominion showed the events from Godzilla's perspective, here we get to see the other side. So basically, this oil rig has been taken over by mercenaries, who it's later mentioned may be an offshoot group of Alan Jonah's terrorist group. They get a visit from their financier, a mysterious man going by the name of Rosales, who's come to see their catch. If you want more detail, check out my Dominion review that I'll link to up here and down below. But, in brief, they've used a sort of poison to trap Nar-Kika in a containment net that they stole from Monarch. But of course, Godzilla isn't going to stand for that shit, and Rosales just manages to get out of there before kablamo. Rosales is probably Simmons by my reckoning, but, I'm not that far into the book, so, I just don't know. Tywin Lannister, and I was wondering when he would pop up again, visits Simmons, and sells him 2 of the 3 Ghidorah skulls. Obviously, Jonah has heard about Simmons and Apex's development of Mechagodzilla, and considering the vast resources he has at his disposal, figures that he's the ideal buyer. Money. There's an interesting part where Simmons asks Jonah, "Not all 3? And Jonah replies, "Just the 2. Simmons buys them and puts one here, I guess, and I guess the other one in Mechagodzilla, although I don't remember that being specified in the movie. So where is the 3rd one? Assuming Ghidorah's dead body regenerated the other 2 post-mortem, because, they got blasted to pieces by Godzilla's atomic pulse, remember? Ghidorah's body probably would have done the same with a 3rd head, wouldn't it? So assuming that it did regenerate, where is it? Could that sneaky Jonah man be keeping it for himself? Sneaky Jonah man. No, I don't believe that. He's just got such a trustable, cute face. Look at that face. Don't you want to just grab his cheeks and go... Could he have sold it to somebody else? Someone even worse. Could the 3rd one be the basis for... You know what I'm gonna say. Anyway, back to the book. It's Nathan Lynn's final night with his brother David before he flies into the Skull Island vortex. Before blam! And he hits the ensuing gravity inversion. This part of the book doesn't really tell us that much that we didn't know already, so I won't spend too much time on it. I mean, what did you think? I was just going to read you the whole book? The 3rd chapter sees Gia fleeing the destruction of her home as Skull Island is devastated by the storm, as her sister and a handful of villagers make a run for high ground. It's mentioned that the Great Wall, built to protect from the skull crawlers and other predators of Skull Island, has been junked up with debris and now acts as a dam, keeping the waters in, flooding the village. And I still feel really bad for the Iwis, these amazing ancient culture that was cohabiting peacefully with Kong and the other creatures of Skull Island, and suddenly this happens. Anyway, some of Gia's group are picked off by Siren Jaw, and her sister is carried away by floodwaters, just managing to push Gia up into the branches of a tree before she's swept away. Luckily for Gia, she's noticed by Kong, who happens to be passing by, and picks her up and sweeps her off of her feet. No, that's weird. Then we pick up with Godzilla in his new sanctuary, remembering Surisawa's sacrifice and the blast that obliterated his old home. He recalls fighting Tiamat for his new place of rest, and he awakes, sensing that one of the Titans is not where it should be. I spat a little as I spoke there. Remember, our big guy has an almost telepathic connection with the other Titans, and that is what allows him to track them. Before leaving, he gazes at the skull of his enemy, and to avoid any confusion, I'll read this section to you word for word. He pulled himself up. The time for rest was done. His gaze rested on the gigantic skull of the enemy, the ancient adversary his kind had once driven from this place, but never completely defeated. So according to this, his kind had driven the Kong, or Kongs, out of this place, which kind of contradicts what it says in Dominion. Or does it? Are we talking about 2 different conflicts in 2 different time periods? I don't know anymore. Please let me know what you think below, but please keep it civil. I know these debates get kind of heated. Actually, no, just go for it. Get vitriolic in there. I don't give a shit. Then we get the bit we see in the movie where Kong throws the tree into the dome of the containment unit, indicating that he knows that this is a simulated environment. And in a later conversation with Gia, where Gia sees a drawing on Eileen's computer screen resembling, and I quote, a stylized man, but he also had a tail and an elongated face, Gia then asks, why does it have a star inside it? And these sticks on its back. A costume, maybe? No, a lizard. A bad lizard. He swallowed a star. Then Gia spells it out phonetically as zo-zla-halawa, which is very roughly translated to eternal great enemy. She recalls a story she heard about this thing living in the long ago below, like Kong, and this thing ate a star and it made him evil, and that gave him the ability to blast out quote-unquote star rays. So even though most of this is from Gia remembering an iwi legend that she heard some time before, it's definitely a Godzilla we're talking about here. But is it our Godzilla? It's been theorized that this might be where our Big G first got his atomic breath power, but that would infer that he would be the first of his kind to have this ability. But to me, it would be much more logical if it were this Godzilla, this terrifyingly enormous fucking beast from the Kong throne room. I mean, look at the size of this thing. If Kong is just a little bit smaller than our Godzilla, I mean, look at the shot in relation. This thing would be 5 or 6 times his size. So let's say an intensely radioactive asteroid smashed into Earth, breaking through the Earth's upper crust and lodging itself into the heart of Hollow Earth. It's so radioactive that nothing can go near it, save one enormous gargantuan member of the Godzilla species. And this enormous Gojira consumed the heart of the asteroid somehow. I mean, not necessarily literally eating it, but absorbed its energy somehow. That to me would explain how the Godzilla species got this relationship with radioactivity and the Hollow Earth energy. Anyway, I definitely need to know more about this Godzilla that swallowed a star. I need to know how this enormous monster came to be here, too. My guess would be that the Kongs built their temple on the site of their greatest enemy's last resting spot, but who knows? But the fact that it's here, in this temple, is significant no matter which way you look at it. Also, the fact that there's a storm hanging right above it reminds me of how Ghidorah's storm was anchored to Skull Island by the vortex beneath it. Perhaps this storm, which apparently is also the reason there's daylight down here, by the way, I read that in the Art of Gvk, by the way, which I'll probably do a video on soon, has been anchored by the huge energy source within the Godzilla bones. Anyway, that's my theory. Make sure you get in the comments below and let me know what your theories are. Do you think we'll see more of this in Son of Kong or whatever the GVK sequel ends up being? Anyway, guys, stay tuned to the channel. If anything else interesting pops up in the Gvk Novelisation, which I'm sure there will be, you can be sure that I will be doing a video about it. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my videos. I have an absolute blast making these videos. I will see you very soon for the next one. Thank you very much. Cheerio, bye!